Our mission is to encourage and uplift women to birth their ministry and accomplish their mission. Together, we are the difference in action for positive change. Two humanitarians, Drs. Anita Mckaney and Tomesha Walker, are changing the world by giving voice to women around the globe, encouraging authors, marriages, mothers and wives to live out their ministry on mission. Join us Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and spread the word as we reach out our goal of making a difference in the lives of 200,000 women. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi, all. We are so excited that you are here today. So, this is our next episode of Ministry on Mission. Can you believe it? We are here again in season 5, and of course, have another amazing guest for you. So, let's get started. Dr. Anita, how are things going for you this week?
Hey everyone, Dr. Anita Mckaney here. Things are going good, slow and steady. Wins the race. That's what we're doing. We're going to win. It's going to be good. Because let's just be honest, every week is not smooth sailing. But I tell you what, God is faithful. God is faithful. And I tell you what, no matter what my week brings me, let's go. I'm here for it. So listen, I am excited. Welcome back to another episode. We are bringing you someone that I am excited to interview on today. Let me tell you some about her. She is Ohio author, Authorine Marie McKnight Solomon, and her latest project called In the Midst of It All, Memories of Life, Faith, and Forgiveness was self-published. And after completing a compilation of poetry pieces for her other book, God's Gifts, Double for Your Trouble, God directed her to share her life story. I am so excited to get into it. She wants to let others know that no matter what they're going through, with faith, they can survive it. Come on. Be a survivor, right? There's going to be times you have to endure and forgive. And since her previous publication, God has moved her to be a member of Resurrection Church in Ohio, where Apostle Marcus D. Taylor and Sade Taylor are the pastors. And God's plans are still the focus of her life. Her purpose for her life is to write, to be a writer. And this girl wouldn't have it any other way. Amongst this multifaceted ministry God has placed in her, she has come to enjoy writing all things inspirational and looks forward to the wonderful things God has in store for her. Welcome to the show.
Very much.
Hey there. Good to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Well, it looks like you have a story to tell, like you got a journey to share with us about how God took you from one place to the next and how he has been faithful in that move, in that transition. So why don't you start there? Tell us about from moving from one book title to the next and that transition and a little bit of that backstory, because I'm sure our audience wants to know, like, what do you mean that you have like literally been directed by God to share your life story? So tell us that story.
Well, originally I started writing poetry, and I had created this book. God's Gifts was actually the very first one, and the second one was God's Gifts, Double for Your Trouble. Well, along the way, I started writing what I did not know was a memoir. And I was just writing chapters about things I had been through, experienced, learned about myself. I really didn't know it to be an inspirational book until one day the Lord literally let me know that. And so I kept writing, and I would journal, but I wasn't always consistent with it. So I prayed and I said, Lord, remind me of everything you want me to speak of about my life, everything you want me to write about. And it's amazing how there can be things you've gone through that you may not realize you've pushed back in the recesses of your mind. Because one of the stories of my life that I tell within this memoir of how I thought about committing suicide.
Wow.
And I must have suppressed it because the Lord gave me an opportunity to visualize what really would have happened if I had succeeded at what I wanted to do. Because I just wanted to lay down and go to sleep. I just wanted to take some pills at the age of 18, 19, lay down, go to sleep. Just not wake up, not leave a note. But the Lord allowed me to have this vision of my mother being devastated at finding me.
Yeah.
And it led me to furthermore know that even though I had suppressed it and I wasn't thinking of it, I was serious.
Mm-hmm.
I was merely blessed to have an opportunity to where I lost hope, gain hope again. I didn't have an opportunity to accomplish what I wanted to do before I gained hope. Because I believe that's what, because of my personal experience, I believe that's why people want to commit suicide.
Hmm.
They've lost hope
Right.
and they think that whatever it is they're going through, whatever it is they may have done, whatever it is they're experiencing, that life and their loved ones are better off without them. And that's a lie
Right.
because every single one of us have a plan and a purpose for our lives. Every single one of us does. And the Lord will help you fulfill that if you trust Him. So I wrote the book and I realized it's the first of a trilogy.
Okay.
So it talks about the first years of my life, even how I got to be named the way I am. And it goes till about 2016. And so the next two, which will be released on November 26th, the second of the trilogy talks about my love story with my husband. And the third talks about the first 365 days of being a widow.
Oh my goodness.
So all of these books are meant to encourage individuals to know no matter what it is you are going through, the key word is through. You can make it. I tell people all the time, your through may not be mine. My through may not be like yours, but the key word is through. But you can't give up. And when you know Jesus, when you have a relationship with Him, He's the rock to hold on to.
Wow. Amen. The key word is through. Because we all go through, right? We all have
Yes,
situations,
yes,
situations, and situational circumstances
yes,
that can get us all cut up. But to go through and to get to that other side is key. Wow, I am
yes,
excited. You said there's a trilogy. So the first part is kind of your personal story, then talking about marriage and widowhood.
yes.
My
They're
goodness.
all personal, but the first book talks about just me, you know, and different aspects I had gone through. And the funny thing is, I thought maybe the book was too late. I thought maybe I had been disobedient to God, or maybe I had lost. You know how sometimes you might think you've lost that time frame,
Mhm, mhm.
but the Lord, especially after my husband passed away, the Lord let me know, no, this is a trilogy.
Wow.
It's a three-part series.
Wow. So let's
So
back up a little. You said that people often ask you about your name,
yeah,
Authorine. Tell us
yeah.
about what kind of questions you get about that and how do you answer those questions?
Well, the primary question is, well, where did your name come from? Or what does your name mean? Or how did you come to be named Authorine? And I didn't always understand. And, as a child in school, the last thing you want to be is different, because usually the different person is the one that gets picked on.
Right.
So I didn't always enjoy my name. But in my early 20s, I had a conversation with my mother, and I literally asked her, Mom, how did I get my name? And she said that she was told she was not physically capable of carrying a child full term.
Hmm.
So during the last quarter or last half of 1962, my grandfather came to Cleveland to visit, and he was a Southern Baptist preacher and the pastor of 5 churches. Because back then, that could take place because the pastor only pastored once, church was once Sunday a month. So he was able and capable to do that. So he come to visit. They went to the church home. He went to the church home with my mom and dad, saw my mother holding a baby after service. And when they got back to the apartment, my grandfather asked my mother, "You want one of those?" And she said, "Yes." And I believe it was my grandfather's prayer that prayed me into existence before he went home and ended up dying in a car accident. Now, I said all that to say this. My father's name was Austin, and my mother didn't think of Austin at the time. She just knew she wanted as many of my father's first name letters in my name as possible. And the nurse suggested, how about Authorine? There was a black college activist by the name of Authorine Lucy. My mother liked the name, but she didn't like the spelling. So she changed one letter, and that's where the O is in my name. Because Authorine Lucy's name was spelled Authherine. My mother changed it to O. But whether she knew it or not, it was still to be, because
Hmm.
the first 6 letters of my name spell author.
Right. Right. And check this out. Like you were saying that when you were 18 is when you were struggling with like that whole identity thing and not wanting to be here. But yet God had you set up really
Yes,
from the
yes,
beginning, not
yes,
only to live and not die, but to be an author as well,
yes,
to be inspired, to be born, and then to inspire others. Come on. I see a thread here. I see a thread. That's powerful. That really
yes,
is.
yes. Because I could not be here today if I had succeeded.
Mm, mm,
I
mm.
had someone tell me the fact that Google did not exist at the time is what saved my life.
Hmm. Isn't that something? God
Yes,
is strategic, okay?
yes, he is.
Strategy for each and every one of us. For each and every listener, listen. You're here on purpose.
Yes,
That's what she just told us. You are here on purpose. There's a reason for your existence. You are alive today because there's something that needs to be done. There's somebody that needs to be inspired. Maybe there needs to be a book written by you. So when did
yes.
you decide or when did you become inspired by God to actually pen a book? Like that was in your name. You had probably thought of it, but like, probably not me. But then one day we're doing this. How'd you get to that place?
Well, I started writing poetry younger than 21, and I didn't think a whole lot about it. When I got a little older, um, and I was still penning poetry. And even with that very first book, I didn't think of it as a book. But this is what the Lord did. And I would hope that everyone would be blessed with this experience. One night, resting in bed, deep sleep, I had this dream that I was standing in front of the Lord. I didn't see him, but I knew I was standing there. The room was white, everything was white, beautiful. And I remember looking in this book, and I remember the book had nothing on these 2 pages. And in the dream, I remember thinking, "Oh, good. There's no sin that I committed that I hadn't asked forgiveness for." But with a quiet voice that seemed so astounding in that moment, I heard the Lord say to me, I called you to do this. Why didn't you do it? And there was no answer because there was no reason for me not to do it. There was no excuse. Especially later on in life when you read and you remember that the word of God tells you he will supply all your need according to his riches and glory. That the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord and he delighteth in his way. There was no excuse, and that's the way we're going to be. When he gives us something specific to do, there's not going to be any reason or excuse that's going to stand true. Mm-hmm. So I awakened the next morning and I asked God for forgiveness. And I said, for this first book, Lord, please forgive me for not having it done. Help me to finish it. I think I asked for 30 days. And I said, whatever it is you want me to write for this book, help me to write it so it can be finished in 30 days. And he did.
Wow. So what you're trying to say is that God is the author and the finisher?
Yes, he is.
I had to throw it in there. Listen.
That's all right. That's all right.
I'm so glad to hear you say it that way, because now I know that I'm not the only one that God gives due dates for books to. I thought I was the only one. Seriously. Like, I was like, you got this much time, get this done by this time. And I thought I was the only one. But thank you for sharing that, because I'm not alone.
Listen, even with November 26th, the two rough drafts have been in my computer. Not a long time, but long enough. And I was concerned because what I do is, well, let me back up a little bit. I'll still say blessed. I was blessed to be connected with two self-publishing companies beforehand. And I say blessed because there may have been things that God intended to take place that may not have taken place. But I still learned some things. I had done my part. And I still learned some things. So when it came time for In the Midst of It All, I was concerned, but the Lord was like, no, this time you're doing it. So he had me, not only did I write the manuscript, he had me edit the manuscript. He had me create the cover, and part of the cover's creation consisted of my husband's art. So when you look at that cover, you're seeing a piece of his art because I wanted him to do the cover for me. Because I had actually started writing this book in 2008. And I originally released it, I think, 2018.
Wait, what? 10 years later? 10 years later?
So, yes.
Oh my.
So while we were married, because he was a wonderful artist, very gifted and talented, I wanted him to do my cover. And I'm so glad I did, because you couldn't have told me that man would have been dead by now.
Look at
so not only when you get that book, you not only get my life story, you get a piece of his art.
Yeah.
So the Lord had me create the cover, edit, told me you're publishing it, directed me to Amazon. I'm like, whoo. So I yes, by God's direction. I did that through Amazon Kindle.
Sure.
Direct publishing. And that's where the other two. So I do give myself a break after I've done the rough draft. So I won't be reading what I want it to be instead of what it actually is. And I hadn't gotten to the last two books yet. And I was concerned. And when, as you may have seen in my bio, when the Lord had me start my ministry, Song of Solomon Ministries, and had me do a conference, the Marriage Summit, I was doing the bio page of everyone that was participating. And in mine, he told me to put that these two books will be released November 26th.
Wait, both of them released. Okay.
I said, okay, Lord.
Nice step of faith right there. Wow.
Yeah,
So
so
you mentioned Song of Solomon Ministries. Now
yeah.
we know the Book of Solomon is like a whole love story. It's about, your betrothed and your beloved and all of that. So what is that ministry all about?
Well, the ministry is not only an entity of which God is going to allow me to distribute different artifacts that He gives me to do, such as my books and other things that He gives me ideas to create. The ministry is also going to be like the parent of other nonprofit creations. For example, as I said, the Marriage Summit. The first Marriage Summit took place on September 30th, and it will be something annual because the Lord let me know it's not just the only one, but for its maiden voyage, as I've said recently, He wants me to have another one called the Marriage Summit Reboot. It's going to be March 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
March
Some of
30th of
the
2024.
March 30th
Hey.
of 2024. It is going to be somewhat the same format, but the primary principle and direction of the summit is for married, single, widowed, divorced, living together, men and women. The only criteria is you must be 18 years of age or older due to potential sensitive content. Marriage is being attacked by the enemy of our souls.
Ooh, you can say that again.
And the world, Hollywood, sometimes church, has given a distorted view without the realness of it. And what the Lord wants to use me to do is to have a discussion. Yes, it's called the Marriage Summit, but it's not just about marriage between two people. It's about a connection we have with each other. How we can sometimes choose and accept people God never intended us to choose and accept to be married to. How the things we do in our lives can create havoc later on. It might look okay now, but maybe it was never intended. And you don't see that until later. Or how singles can be encouraged because there are individuals who want to maintain, who want to walk as the Lord would have them to walk, and sometimes feel ostracized. You don't have to be. You don't have to feel, if you're divorced, you don't have to feel as if you won't ever get married again, if that's truly what God has for you. If you're widowed, you don't have to feel as if, for example, you don't have to feel sad about grieving about your spouse. It's a process. There's so many myriads that I know and believe God is going to bring out in this summit every year. So, as I said, the first was the 30th of September, and He's ushering me for right now, within this 12-month period. He's ushering me to have one more called the Marriage Summit Reboot of the first one, which was, what are you looking for? Before I go on to the next one, which will be the last Saturday in September. They will always, annually, they will fall on the last Saturday of September.
Awesome. And so needed. So very needed. That's so important. I love your emphasis on relationships, period, across the board, because, in 2 seconds, your relationship status could change, right? So that's really important, that just laying a foundation that's godly and biblical is a great ministry. Like, this is relationships, period, across the board. Number one relationship being have a relationship with God.
That's right.
That's
That's I
number
was
one.
about to say. Yes, it all ties in. It all ties in. You can't have one without the other. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you heard it. This is incredible how the woman of God has written these books, how she has literally, God has taken her life story and made his story, come on, from her story. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because what is the Bible but a book of people's stories? And God has woven it together and made his story. So I love that so much. And listen, we want you guys to make history as well by, guess what? Attending the Launching Leaders Conference that is coming up October 21st and 22nd. I am getting more and more excited about it. If you have not taken a look yet, if you have not registered, if you have not done these things, and I don't know why, you need to go to ministryonmission.com and take a look at this conference. Check out this amazing lineup of speakers that we have coming to you. We have a lawyer that's going to help you answer your questions about establishing your business, who's coming to speak. We literally are flying in the CEO of Mighty Creative. We have Dr. Omonesa Komalafe, who is originally from Nigeria, who is a multi-business owner and entrepreneur extraordinaire. We have incredible people to come and answer your questions, to help you to start your business or encourage you to do more in your business or to help you expand and elevate your business. I promise you, you will not leave the room with some new, not only information, but you get your t-shirt, you get the packet that comes with registration. You are going to leave the room with some kind of product, service, or something that's going to immediately help you to jumpstart your business and get you in a good place so that you can start your ministry and finish the mission. So listen, that's our plug. We want to make sure that you are there. We want to make sure that you bring someone. There's going to be something special for the young people as well. If you know a young person, young budding entrepreneur, somebody with an idea, a vision, a goal, a strategy for business, bring them. We got something special just for them. We want them to present their idea in the room, and they're going to get majorly surprised at what happens next. But I can't spill all the beans. Dr. Tomesha Walker won't let me. So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to leave it right there and let you wonder. But you want to make sure that you participate. You want to get that digital badge. Oops. Anyway, you need to go ahead and read the information, the registration. Go to ministryonmission.com. Click our link for the Launching Leaders Conference. But right now, we're going to get back to our very special guest. We have with us Authorine Marie McKnight Solomon. And guess what, y'all? I had to do a little digging. I had to find out something unique about our guests and see what's going on with her that she ain't told us yet. Guess what I found out? This woman likes to experiment with food. Yep, I said it. She does. I was thumbing through her social media and I was like, oh, I like food. Miss Authorine, have you been keeping a secret from us? What's your favorite thing to make? Tell us about what you making in your kitchen.
oh my word, what don't I make from time to time? My diet has changed pretty much, so I eat a lot of lamb, and I like seafood, and I like fish. So I'll do lamb chops. I'll do lamb ribs. I will lamb shoulder chops. I will take ground lamb and I will make spaghetti with red sauce.
What?
Probably part of the reason you also know that is Miss Tanisha, Dr. Walker, because one evening she and another sister in Christ were at my home and I made pasta and I also made homemade garlic bread.
Ooh.
And I just love to experiment. I've one of my favorite desserts Haven't made it in a little while, but one of my favorite desserts is a peach cobbler, a layered peach cobbler cheesecake.
Wait, say it
Okay,
again
I
one more
did real
time.
good. I did real good. I did real good. I was quiet. I let you share. I did real good. I did real good. And I know y'all taking a lot of notes in your Ministry on Mission notebook. And I know you had a couple things that kind of knocked you out a little bit because I did really well. But she is not in any way, shape, or form giving herself full credit for the amazing and scrumptious food that she does create. So, as she said, I did have the opportunity to nibble actually multiple large meal, the wonderful and amazing spaghetti and garlic bread that had me thinking twice and saying, if you have a few pieces left or any remnants of the creation pieces that you could maybe put together and bring me because it's on my mind again. That's just how good it was, to the point where she asked, because I got a chance to taste this amazing cheesecake that she's sharing with you right now. Um, she asked and said, "Does it freeze well?" And I said, "Well, let me let you know." Mm, as as I'm still eating on pieces of it because it was in the freezer. Yes, I had to let her know one Sunday, and I said, "Yeah, I had me a good piece last week," and she was like, "Wait, wait a minute now. That was a little while ago I made it." I said, "I know." But yes, it does keep well in the freezer. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So if you ever have the opportunity to be blessed, to be invited into her presence where she is creating any culinary masterpiece, I would encourage you to make sure that you make every effort to get there and, dare I say, bring a doggy bag. But I'm just saying, make sure that you get there because God has blessed her hands in so many different ways, and I can vouch for the fact that her home is such an open and loving space, and her kitchen where she creates so many beautiful blessings and uses the talents that God has given her is a place that brings warmth and love to you. I felt it before and I encourage you to feel it as well. And so I'm sure it's something you will also find as you attend her events and as you read her beautiful writings. She is a beautiful soul. God has given her so many talents and so many gifts. And so that's part of the reason why we're so glad to have her on here. So I did my best. It didn't last too long, but I had to tell y'all because she was talking about I do this and it. Let me tell you, okay, the lamb and the spaghetti. Had you asking some questions like, can I get another plate? Okay, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But yeah, you go ahead and trickle out a little bit more of what you cook. But let me tell y'all, sister can cook.
I'm just thinking, we could use somebody for the Laundry Leaders Conference, little something, whip up something to bring to the
Oh
conference. I'm just saying.
Ooh,
I'm
yes,
just
that's a
saying.
good just saying. That's a real good just saying.
we'll talk. We'll talk. That's all I'll say. We'll talk.
Fair enough. Fair
Oh,
enough. Well, I think we all can agree that we all enjoy good food. That's a definite. That's a definite. So remind our audience again what you're going to be doing and where and when and how they can get a hold of you so that we can all find your books. We want to make sure that we can attend the conferences. You spoke about the marriage summit coming up. Give us those dates again and how you
all
can
right.
be contacted.
Okay. The present book right now is In the Midst of It All, Memories of Life, Love, Faith, and Forgiveness. It's available right now on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and ebook. The Marriage Summit, the next Marriage Summit, the reboot regarding what are you looking for, will be on Saturday, March 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Parma Library, address 6996 Powers Boulevard in Parma, Ohio. That day is free. Tickets are free. Eventbrite, I will have the invite set up on Eventbrite. You can register there and get all of the information. It hasn't been set up just yet, but it will be. My ministry can be contacted via email. I am Authorine at gmail.com. For now, you can send me an email yourself, and I'm literally in the thought process of creating a mailing list so that I can keep people up to date of what's coming along. And as I said, that is I am Authorine, AUTHORINE at gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, you have heard it here. We have been just delighted and had such a great time talking to you, but we're not quite done yet because we still have another question. And that question is about widowhood. You had mentioned that you're going to be releasing one of your next books, kind of speaking to that topic a little more, being married and then not being married, that transition, how it affected you. What can readers look forward to in that book? We don't want you to share everything, but what kinds of topics and what kinds of things are you hoping to share in that part of your memoir as part of the trilogy?
Well, when that book and also the story, our love story, is released on November 26th, within the book, what do I do now? It talks about, it touches on figuring out how to handle not having that loved one in my life anymore. For me, I had never been married, and I was an older individual when I got married, and I had waited all that time, blessed with such a wonderful man, and we weren't together a complete 5 years. From the day we met, we were not together 5 years, and it devastated me, and I wanted to die. The difference between this time and the time before of wanting to die, I wanted God to give me permission to die, and He wouldn't. And it also touches on how we don't always know how to handle death, how to approach it, especially with widows. I wondered if there were individuals who kind of didn't want to be around me because they didn't want to deal with the potential of me getting sad and crying and missing my husband. Or the questions of, so when are you going to get remarried? Do you think they want to get remarried? I'm looking at them like, really? It was just, you know, just little things that I experienced, and having to navigate life without that person that was there for me and took up for me. And after living a life of having to make sure certain things were done and I didn't have to do that anymore. You know, that car that needs the oil change,
Mm-hmm.
and you're blessed with someone who said, I got that. And now you got to go back to doing it again. You got to go back to handling things on your own. But there's still this memory of that person that was there. You don't forget them, but you got to keep moving on.
Would
How
you
you do
say
it.
that whole experience kind of changed your ministry and mission outlook somewhat?
I think, well, let me rephrase it a little before I begin. Years ago, I asked the Lord to tell me what my purpose was, and this is what He answered. He gave me this answer. He said, "You are gifted to sing called into ministry, and purpose to write. So
Okay.
that answer might sound generic, but it actually isn't, because whatever it is that the Lord wants me to minister, I'm to minister. That may or may not be in a pulpit. That may be on the Facebook Lives that I do every Wednesday called Wednesday Worship. It may be at the marriage summit. It may be through these books that he has me write. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's only going to be a book.
Right, right.
So knowing that was the answer so many years ago. I believe that the Lord is merely just using some of my life's experiences as a catalyst to create what he wants me to create, to minister to others and allow others to have that platform. Because, for example, the marriage summit is a collaborative effort. I'm just the I'm just the one he's using to facilitate it. And when he gives me something to say, I can say it. But others have life experience that are biblically based, found, because the marriage summit is biblically founded, but it's a real talk
Mm-hmm.
about marriage. So there's individuals that I know now, and God will bring me into contact with, that are going to have a story to tell, to help people understand not only their marriage to a spouse, but their marriage to God,
Wow.
their relationship with the Lord.
Right.
Mm, that's a
Beautiful.
blessing.
So maybe it didn't necessarily change, it just shifted.
I will say that's so true. We've done a lot of shifting lately. I think a lot of us have had to pivot, have had to change. But the overarching goal has stayed the same, which is just giving God honor and glory in each and everything that we do. And we can really see that as you have lived a life of honor unto the Lord and truly decided, no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what the trial may be, whether it's a joyous time, right? And you're able to combine all of these different ingredients together to show the love of Christ, as you uplift his name. And even though you've dealt with some very tough struggles, you have decided to help us to peer in and to learn and to see the love of Christ in each situation in every area, and to not only see it but to feel it, right? As we hold your books and we read through the words that you have in there, it helps us to grow within our lives. So we say thank you. We say we really appreciate you for stopping to take the time to think about and collaborate these ideas and say yes. Say yes to what God has given to you, to what He's placed in you, and to the word that He's spoken to you, so that now in this season, we're able to grow and to learn and to kind of walk in the footsteps of the things that you have traveled through, and be able to then learn and share with others and grow in that way. So, thank you very much for sharing with us today just about who you are, about your life, and how you are impacting this world in a pretty wonderful way by sharing your story, opening up your doors, and then creating new spaces for people to learn, to grow, and to excel in what God has called them to be and to do in relationships. So, as we head out today, what is one thing that you would love to leave us with? We know now where to find you, we know what's coming up, but if you could say just one quip that you could leave us with, as we've dug into some beautiful soul searching moments and some stomach tingling inspiration, what would be one thing that you could leave us with as we head out?
Don't give up, and it's never too late.
Mm,
As long as you have life in your body, it's never too late.
mm,
Moses was 80 when he went back to Egypt to do
mm,
God's work. when God sent him to tell Pharaoh, let my people go. It's never too late. You have purpose and calling until your last breath.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to hear God's voice and to walk in faith and obedience. And if you stumble, don't stay stuck. He forgives. Repent, get up, and keep it moving.
If you are breathing, you have purpose, and don't get stuck. I love it. You have been hearing from Authorine Marie McKnight Solomon. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I hope that you have a notebook full of all the things that she has shared with us today. We are grateful to have her and looking forward very much to to the next time when we will see her next book come out, and to the wonderful conference that she will be hosting there in Ohio, the Marriage Summit. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing this incredible story of your life with us. So God bless you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
So next time, join us for Ministry on Mission, where we encourage you and we equip you to help start your ministry and finish your mission. Until next time.
Thank you for joining Ministry on Mission TV. On behalf of Drs. Anita Mckaney and Tomesha D. Walker, we invite you to connect in the community and online at Ministry on Mission. Here at Ministry on Mission TV, we equip and encourage women to start their ministry and finish the mission. Remember,
Isaiah 40:3. Prepare on purpose.
Mark 1:3. Let's hear your voice.